Yeah, we compare this a lot to people who day trade on the stock market. We see them jump in and out of the market trying to find the next winner, the next big win. Those people always underperform the people who have invested long term.
Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm here with Caleb. What are you going to change up this year, AG?
To be honest, I don't know what I'm going to change. I think that's the thing is I want to get back to the things that I know keep me consistent. That's actually usually my goal, especially at the beginning of the year, is like get back to what I know makes me my best self.
Well, you didn't know I was going to ask you that question.
Is that an okay answer?
You didn't know I was going to ask you that question, but as research would show, you are actually very wise. We're going to talk about that today. It is a new year. You are thinking about new things. You are very aware that the world has changed. You're not exactly sure when it changed or how it changed, but something has changed. And so you're going, something has changed. So if the world has changed, something's probably better change in my marketing. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about a framework for how to know if that's the right thing for you. And then call out some conventional wisdom that might be leading you astray with some cautionary tales. So if your advertising is still working for you, but you're just itching to change something, this episode is for you because most advertising mistakes don't come from making bad decisions. They come from impatience. So today we're going to talk about why switching just to switch is often not the right thing to do and what you might consider instead. So no secret, business owners have more options than ever. There's OTT. There is a targeted streaming platform that every single media company, even the good ones, are pitching you.
Well, everybody knows that, all these digital medias, all these social platforms, every little place that could have ad revenue is going to be happy to receive ad revenue. So we have so many options now beyond what we ever had before.
So this illusion of options is something that's been well studied. And as a setup, I want us to remember there's a well-documented phenomenon known as action bias, which just says humans prefer action over inaction, even when the inaction is a smarter move. The Journal of Risk and Uncertainty published that in early 2000. And does that not feel like where most of us are right now? I have been there. I'm actually, funny enough, we're considering changing some things on this podcast.
Yeah.
And everybody's like,
let's make some action.
Why? So let's make some action because it's a new year. We're in action mode. And so that is always a good thing. But let's make sure that we're making the right types of actions and not actions just to make actions. So the urge to change is emotional, not logical. And emotion is an expensive decision maker.
We've all been there.
We have all been there. We all have.
It's as small as the candy bar next at the gas station register, and as big as the BMW sitting out in the parking lot. So
yes. Oh, wow. Nobody here has a BMW in the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
So nobody would ever do that. So we have three sections. So we're going to talk about what the most profitable advertisers actually do. We are on a relentless pursuit to eliminate waste so you can have more growth in your business and have more freedom and more peace and more success with that ultimate dream. We have done this a long time, and a lot of times, but we don't rest there. We want to look outward. We always look to bigger data and bigger proof to basically support or create the ideas that we bring to you on this podcast. And one of the biggest things to talk about is what are other people doing? When has it worked? What is the data? What is the safety in other experiments tell us? And so we're going to talk about that. The next thing we're going to talk about is what humans actually do, how psychology actually plays into this, and where is repetition with the same thing over and over detrimental, and where is it crucial? And then the last thing we're going to talk about is when are you actually supposed to make a change? Like what is the framework? What are some of the principles we've used to navigate knowing that perfect timing to change something?
Yeah. So let's bring it back to the top. What do the most profitable advertisers, the most profitable advertising campaigns look like? What do they do? And we've cited this study several times. It was from Les Bennett and Peter Fields. They wrote a report called The Long and Short of It. They're with the Institution of Practitioners in Advertising. Bennett and Fields, they studied 996 real advertising campaigns, and they did it across multiple industries, lots of different categories, lots of different types of advertising. and they studied profit, market share, and overall long-term growth.
The things that all of us want.
Yeah.
We all want a more profitable business. We all know that growing for the sake of growing isn't really growing at all. And if we're owner operators, at some point we go, man, what's the easy way to do this?
Yeah.
Or what's not the harder way? What's the smarter way, right?
Yeah. And you think back to the old scientific method, you have to be testing something, right? And so their question was, which approach to marketing between short-term sales activation is what they would call it, and long-term brand building, which approach actually grew businesses over time? And they actually found that it's both, but there's a ratio, and there's a time when they both work together in harmony and help grow those businesses faster than ever.
Yeah. So the big finding is that brands who have a consistent long-term commitment to emotional, what most people would call branding advertising, but we'll put it in the category of tomorrow marketing, winning over that future customer by making them know, like, and trust you, by entertaining them, making them laugh, smile, and get mad about something that you help them solve. That consistency and just showing up and being that valuable personality, persona, company that stands for the same things over and over and over, those are the companies that win to the ratio of 70 to 30%, meaning 70% of the time you want to be putting your time, money, and energy into something that's maintaining that promise, that emotional bond you have with your customer. 30% of the time, Bennett and Fields found, you want to activate on that goodwill that you've built. So it takes a long time and a lot of energy to build that goodwill. But what they found is when you activate it, spend the other 30% of your money activating it, that is when it works far better than if you were to do the inverse. So it's a little bit of a paradigm shift because we think short-term results, short-term marketing, which is offers and targeting and how do I get people right now. They actually found if you do the long-term thing over and over and over, the occasional times or the way lesser ratio of times, that 30% of time you do the short-term thing and say, hey, it's time to buy. It's a great time to buy. Because the market knows, likes, and trusts you, they respond to those messages at a way greater rate. That alone is a shift in the way most people think about marketing. So now we're going to talk about how that relates to consistency, but we'll liken it to friendship and bonds that are really, really strong, take a long time to build.
Yeah. And that those growth mechanisms, they work slowly, but impatience is the biggest risk. If you become impatient, you actually become less effective. Yeah. And so that relationship, when you have a friend that you've spent a lot of time with, we all have those friends that we've drifted apart, right? And the apart really just happened because we didn't spend time together. Yeah. We didn't pick up the phone. We didn't hang out. And that drift happens over time. And it's because of neglect of our friendship, a lack of communication, and it ends eventually.
So what a lot of people are saying is, I'm just curious about other things. I'm curious. I've got this great bond and this, a lot of commitment I've put into this, advertising campaign. Maybe it's a certain TV channel. Maybe it's a certain radio station. Maybe it's a certain agency or partner you've worked with. And you just get curious about other things. And it's like, well, think about the strongest bonds in humanity. What if you did that in your marriage? People who get curious in marriage they don't get novelty. They actually get divorced. So, would you like to divorce all of the customers you have goodwill with? And if the answer is no, then let's look at possibly a better and deeper answer to how should your advertising mature over time?
Yeah. And we know good relationships are always built on repetition and presence and time spent together.
Yeah, your presence is a present.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, thank you.
So,
that is what we're doing. I know we're talking about friends. We're talking about marriage. That is what your marketing, the audience you've been talking to, that long-term effect that Fields and Bennett
and hundreds of other data scientists would confirm, psychology and branding and marketing is the exact same thing as an interpersonal relationship. That's a big takeaway. If you're ever in doubt, just ask, what would I do in the real world? If I'm going to abandon an audience, what would happen if I did that to a real world audience, like a friend or a partner or a company that I walk in the store and do business with?
Yep.
So make sure you check yourself for that blind spot. So we're obviously leaning into you should probably stay consistent, but let's talk about why that repetition works and what is maybe too much repetition. In 1968, Dr. Robert Zajonc, and that sound fancy? I already trust him.
I think you nailed the pronunciation.
Robert Zajonc.
I hope.
University of Michigan, he studied how does repeated exposure actually work? Does it make a difference? And what happens in marketing is we're always looking to go, okay, how did you hear about us? What worked? What, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, what brought you in today? And what this research concluded is they very, very, very seldom, actually way less than 10% of the time, can somebody actually tell you what made them do what they decided to do. That's an emotional, subconscious, right-brained, in your sleep, involuntary recall type experience. Now, I've never met a company that didn't want to be thought of first in their category, that they didn't want to be the most well-known. But I meet very, very few people who are willing to believe that that happens with time in a subconscious matter. And so that's where these forces of decision-making and advertising become at odds, is that we think, ooh, what did somebody say? Or what does the data say? Well, the data actually says if you're willing to trust the data of guys like Zajonc, the data actually says that repetition always improves the results. And repetition is incompatible with frequent change. When you're frequently changing something just because it's a shiny object or it sounds exciting, that is actually the opposite of repeated exposures. And so you're not trying to be in front of some of the people some of the time. You're trying to be in front of most of the people most of the time. And that actually requires commitment to broad media. That requires very little change from an audience perspective. It requires making them the right person over the time. It requires making them the right person over time instead of the false belief that you can somehow find the right person magically now.
Yeah. So repetition increases the trust. And then there's another study here by Professor Byron Sharp at the Ehrenberg Bass Institute. And he wrote a book called How Brands Grow. And they really found that when they studied hundreds of brands across different markets, as they always do, he found that your mental availability, we're talking about how do we know that people are going to actually store us? Okay. We've been repetitious.
Repetitive.
They have repetitive. That's the right word.
Yeah.
They're starting to like us and trust us, but how do we know that we have a place in their mind that will lead to our brand growing? And this study, How Brands Grow, said that growth comes from being easy to think of and being easy to buy. I'm going to say that one more time. Growth for your business comes from being easy to think of and easy to buy.
And so how do you become easy to think of? Let's start there. You have to reach people. You have to do it consistently. The average American is exposed to over 5,000 advertising messages per day. So it takes not just repetition for them not to forget you, but it takes time for that mental adoption and that long-term adoption to happen involuntarily. In the Maven Marketer, we talk about trying to get as many people as possible to hear you at least 4 times per week. Now, that's the same person over and over and over again. That's Carter, the camera guy, hearing you today, hearing you in a couple of days from now, and a couple of days from that before the next week rolls around. That's not just a random bunch of exposures and having Carter and Sydney and Caleb and me all hearing you. That's not 4 repetitive exposures. That's one singular exposure times 4 people, and there's a difference. And so the reason that keeping your media consistency or your audience or maybe even the station or the platform that you're on consistent is that people tend to come back and do the same things day after day. And so the way you get that repetition is that you are repetitive where they are repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. We compare this a lot to people who day trade on the stock market. We see them jump in and out of the market trying to find the next winner, the next big win. And if you read any book, if you look at any study, the people who, I'll call them gamblers, speculators, they're like panning for gold and hoping that they'll get the next big win. Those people always underperform the people who have invested long term
Over time. Because somebody is going, oh, that's bull butter. I did a day trade last week and made 10 grand. It's like, yes, there's always those wins.
Yeah.
And it's not that you shouldn't set
I could go to
aside
the
some of your
casino
money
and win every once in a while too.
Yeah, it's not that you shouldn't set aside some money, and there are very wise, smart investors, and I have some people that I would actually trust to do that for me on a transactional basis.
Sure.
You're going to get some wins and gains, but the ones, if you look at long-term wealth, and actually when I was writing the book, I came across a research study called Trading is Hazardous to Your Wealth. And they were just like, yeah, it's like keep your nest egg there. And That's the same exact thing with brands. Your nest egg is the goodwill you've built with your community and the audience you wish to serve. If you're in a town, that means an audience of people who are local and come back to the same thing over and over and over, such as a TV program or a magazine or a certain route they drive and see your billboard. And so just moving it to day trade with your media tends to lead to worse results.
And effectively, that's what you're supposed to be doing on the stock market. Invest long-term in a business you believe in that will grow.
It's exciting while you're doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not so exciting at the end of the experiment there. So, last thing here, long-term buying cycles are especially important here.
Yes.
Think about this. A lot of people tend to change their advertising annually when the buying cycle for that category, such as roofing or HVAC or choosing a doctor or choosing a dentist or choosing a lawyer, those things happen on 10, 15, 20-year scales. People don't do this. Not only do they not do it every day, they don't even do it every year. And so you're like, I tried that. I don't think it'll work. It's like the laws of humanity and behavior haven't even rolled around to where 10% of your potential audience would have even had the life event to make that decision.
Yeah.
So you need to wait for them just based on the laws of your industry and the laws of your category. We have some home improvement categories that are literally 30 years before somebody buys that product.
Yeah.
The only thing you'll buy less often than 30 years is like a casket or something like that. It's like a once in a lifetime purchase.
Yeah.
So consider that, especially if you're in a long-term advertising, just pick an audience and become the guy that when their roof finally fails, or when their family finally needs an attorney, or when their doctor finally retires, or their insurance finally changes, you're the one they've thought of and felt good and been exposed to the entire time. So you pop in their mind, they skip the search engines, and they go straight to you.
Yeah. And then that leads to the question, though, everybody has, when you've done this. Lots of people have followed our advice and invested in this audience for years and years and years. And they wonder, okay, I'm a doctor. People make decisions about when they change or I'm in real estate. People buy a house once every 5 to 7 years, or I'm a roofer and I've been doing this for 15 years and that's the life of a roof.
How much is too much?
How much is too much? Should I stop advertising to this audience? And there was a study by Schmidt and Eisend. I got that right. Schmidt and Eisend in the Journal of Advertising. And they studied a bunch of repetition studies in all formats and all medias. And they found out that the wear out occurs for an advertiser much longer than anybody ever assumes.
I would say take the size of that audience, divide it by half, and let's just say you're never going to have more than 50% market share. And by the way, you probably already don't. There's very few people that have more than 20. Okay, but let's be generous and say it's 50. So let's say it's a 50,000 person audience. Divide it in half. There's 25,000 people. Until you can tell me you've had 25,000 new customers, you're not done. And by the way, a lot of those aged out and more of them came into the audience. So there was migration, even if you did stay in the same place, simply by the laws of attrition.
Yeah.
So you as the business owner are going to become tired of the platform way before the platform is going to stop working for you.
We see that so much. I think we should get this new thing. I'm tired of looking at it. It's like, you are tired of it because you see it way more often, but I promise they're not tired of it.
Yeah. And the most frustrating thing of all is like, go look at how much your business has already grown from this audience and why would you abandon it? There's more there. So especially if you're talking about broad, long-term audiences that come back to the well, come back to the media every day. So by the way, to answer the question as asked, as long as you are changing your message every time it reaches a 7 to 8 average exposure, statistically and scientifically, you will not wear that audience out. And for most people, that means changing their commercial, the message, every month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah.
If you're on a medium-sized budget in a medium-sized town, you can run the ad for a month or two before it becomes too much. But all you have to do to keep the audience from getting tired or bored is just put a new message.
Yeah.
Message fatigue and the laws of diminishing returns come after that 8 frequency point.
Yeah. It's not the platform you're on. It's the message that you're saying.
And if you don't know what that is for you, you can ask your media rep. Any competent media rep should be able to tell you, you've been running this ad for this long. They have a fancy computer that will spit out the average person in this audience has seen it this many times.
Yeah. you can think of brands that you've known since you were a kid and how they've reinvented their message over time, and you're not tired of their ads.
Yeah.
We still show them to each other, even though it was the same company that we were talking about from the 90s.
Yeah.
And they've reinvented themselves.
By contrast, last year, and this happens all the time, but I'm thinking of one example last year. We had a really great company in a really big city who had a really big ad budget. Okay. He could afford to do just about anything he wanted to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And he got shiny object syndrome
Mm-hmm.
because well-meaning but wrong advertising people came and said, it's a new year. Here's some new things. We should switch up your budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he had pretty good market share. Okay. So this wasn't like a newbie. This wasn't like a one-off thing. But this guy found, and he called us about a year and a half later after this happened, he lost nearly $1 million in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't know, I'm doing all these things. And we're like, you're doing too many things, not well.
It
like
was,
you're fragmented.
the language he used was, well, I tried this, and then I tried this, and then I tried this. And it was always, that didn't work. And he would give it 6 months, 3 months, a year. And what he was doing was picking up his marketing budget and therefore his audience.
Yeah.
And he's taking this potted plant, he was picking it up and moving it to another pot, and then he was moving it to another pot, and he never allowed it to take root in any place.
Yeah. We have clients that have grown 200, 300, 400%, have a couple that have 10x'd and even 20x'd just by doing the same thing over and over and adding to it a little bit every year, but not overly sophisticated, changing it up.
So when is switching actually the right call? Because we just made a big case for stay where you are, stay with what you've got going on. When should we actually make a switch?
Yeah. So in media, and if you're talking about the money you're spending on advertising, there are times where the media platform itself does change and you're not the one changing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had some scenarios where the cost annually just increased so much that it became just a ridiculous proposition to keep going. Like some rates doubled, or sometimes in political season, we will step out for a few weeks when things just double and triple in rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty rare to happen, but that is one reason where I would go, okay, maybe not switch it up entirely, but pull back or try to negotiate better. And the measure of that is CPM. I'll take a little bit of CPM. Actually, I kind of want to see my CPMs go down because that means I'm buying programs that are in high demand or buying platforms that are in high demand. But if it's like doubled or tripled in a really short amount of time, by the way, Google did that over the period of like one and a half years. But when CPMs rise drastically, and your media rep should be able to tell you that, inventory collapses, there's not enough availability for you to be in there frequently. Like either your budget didn't grow at the same rate as the audience and you can't afford to buy it enough times. By the way, there's a formula inside the Maven Marketer for how to buy each media and how much frequency you should appropriate for your budget. So if you can't do it at scale, when the platform goes up, then you're just going to have to settle for a lesser or more efficient audience. The second reason to change something up would be if the audience has actually fundamentally changed. If maybe they deleted a program, maybe they changed formats altogether, maybe the radio station or the TV station lost a big personality. And what you want to make sure is that I'll take a little bit of down because people don't switch as often as they think they do.
Mm-hmm.
But if the ratings show like a real loss, or if you're using a digital media like Facebook or YouTube or email marketing, if the audience just becomes significantly less, then I will reshop it. Especially if the demographics also switched with it enough where it's like, that's way off. But actually, I can't think of a media where the demographics have switched drastically.
Not that quickly.
Not that quickly.
You would say, "Whoa, what's happening here?" It would be so rare for something like that to happen.
An example of that is that millennials fundamentally do not watch news at the rate that baby boomers and Gen X does. Yeah. And so we go, okay, as millennials have become a bigger buying force, we go, okay, we have to supplement that, reach them in a really consistent media and a really consistent budget. We're not switching it up all the time, but we did have to add things like YouTube TV and some more efficient video deliveries for those, aging millennials, we'll call them. So the third reason to switch something is if your business strategy has fundamentally changed. If you used to sell to this audience and you don't anymore, that's an appropriate time for pause. Or if you're selling a new product to a new audience, that's an appropriate time to add a budget for a new audience. I still don't trade old stuff that's working just because I have a new business objective. I look at every business objective like it has its own marketing budget attached to it. And then within that marketing budget, I go through the steps of who am I talking to? Where's the best place to reach them for the least amount of money?
Yeah. And so if the platform economics are still there, if it still is a reasonable price, the audience hasn't changed out from under you and your business hasn't really changed, everything else that would cause you to start looking around and wondering, if there's greener pastures somewhere else, those are probably just
action
bias. It's that I'd rather do something than sit still.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. It's or else maybe you're bored, maybe you're tired of looking at your same old thing in the same old place, or maybe there's a really good salesperson that showed up and convinced you.
Yep.
Maybe you got excited about it.
Absolutely. So the grass does not grow faster by tugging on it. You have put seeds in this area. You have planted consistently. You have watered. You have weeded this area. Don't abandon it just to go plant seeds in another yard because it looks fancier or better, because that sucks. That weeding and that nurturing of that new field you plant seeds in is going to take 1.5, 2, 3 years to get to that mature lawn that you like to come home to.
I think that's the biggest piece. That's the biggest reason people want to pick up and move. It's not usually because they've been so patient and they've waited 10 years marketing on a platform. It's because they've waited not enough time on the same platform and they want to pick it up and try somewhere else.
That happens too. That happens a lot of times. Not with our clients because they're so wise, and not to anybody who's listening to the Maven Marketing
that's
podcast.
Why you're here.
That's why you're here, because you get it. You are old and wise, at least in spirit. And so we just want to leave you with some encouragement that consistency builds memory, memory builds trust, trust builds preference, and preference is the thing that beats all media and advertising spend across the board. So switching resets that trust. We don't want to do that in the same way you wouldn't neglect a good friend or hopefully not your spouse. So long as they were consistent to you, right? We'll say that. I didn't want to, throw rocks at anybody. So, anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think as this new year wraps around, everybody asks what should change, just like we started this whole conversation. And the danger of the what should I change is that you will look for something to change. Now, things can always get better, but it's usually not who you're building a relationship with. It's usually how you're building a relationship with them. And so if you look at that, focus on the things before media. We always say strategy first, message is second, media is last. Focus this first part of your year, not on media changes, focus on your strategy and narrow down your message and make it so strong. You will see the difference every time.
Amen to that. Seed time and harvest, folks. Put them in the ground, nurture them, keep them going. That's how the best things are built. That is how every relationship you actually want to have is built. So that was a power punch. Hopefully, you have some clarity. If you have questions about, okay, I think I'm in the category of needing to change something. I think one of those things is true. I think nobody is using this platform anymore. And you want us to dive deep into that. Those are individualized conversations. And even though it's probably not happening as much as you think it is, there are times we would love to help you analyze that. Send us a question to Maven Monday at frankandmaven.com. We would love to break out one of those times when it is time to change something, or tweak your marketing budget for more consistency. And so Maven Monday at frankandmaven.com, or you can join our mastermind at mavenmethodtraining.com, and we'll go in depth with you and a lot of other really smart people. That's where you get Caleb and I and the rest of our team at your disposal to solve problems in real time. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, pick up a copy of the Maven Marketer, and we will see you back here every single week to answer your real life marketing questions, because marketers who cannot teach you why
Are just a fancy lie.
have a great week.